I might watch, oh God, but I don't want to watch Superman. I mean, I do, but I don't want to review it. I lied. Welcome back. I wouldn't say I lied. I just didn't think it was going to be as fun and as entertaining because that seems to be the best thing James Gunn is able to do is make characters fun and make stories fun. And I really enjoyed it. So this isn't going to be like a big deep dive like I usually do. This is going to be a very quick one and just give you my thoughts on Superman 2025, a film written and directed by James Gunn. It was a very packed film, lots of things happening. I would recommend seeing it because it is good blockbuster fun. If you haven't seen it, go see it. It's a really good movie. It's a really fun movie, and it's much more interesting than I thought it was going to be. If you don't know who I am, my name is Aaron Murray Vasquez. I'm a filmmaker here in New York City. Let's get started. So this is just a wild spoiler alert. We are going into spoilers. We're going to do a little menu here. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is the opening crawl. I remember seeing stuff, people freaking out. People have been freaking out about this movie for such a long time. And based on how James Gunn had been posting about it on Threads, he's very active on Threads, as am I. Aaron is not cool on Threads. I got the sense that he knew what he was doing. I got the sense that he had a good idea. He had a good vision. His team really liked him. They really liked the story and they really liked where they were going. So all of this online chatter that started happening on the run-up just felt to me like rage bait, culture bait. I find the right wing to be quite annoying because they don't have any popular media, and so they bag on Barbie, they bag on Superman because that's a way for them to get into your algorithm. And by the time this movie came around, I was annoyed at every single headline. Like, this was going to have an opening crawl like Star Wars. It has a very great crawl that kind of gets us right into the action. And that's my favorite thing about this movie is how fast it flows, how well it uses its time. It's the 3 decades, 3 years, 3 months, 3 days, and we go into 3 minutes ago, he lost his first fight. And I was like, wow, off to a hot start. Because so many other superhero movies, losing the fight is at the middle. This one starts off with him losing. Right out of the gate, I love what James Gunn did. Let's talk about the villains. The villains in this movie are so over the top, but the whole movie is over the top in a way that sort of makes sense. Like, the bigger the villains are, the less dangerous they actually are, which I found to be kind of refreshing. It wasn't the gigantic Stitch character that was stomping all over. It was the like little pieces of metal that this woman was made out of, like that was the most dangerous thing to Superman. All the evil people are totally evil. And even some of the good guys are still not totally good. I think this movie does a really good job of sort of rebuking goodness in a way that only Superman stands alone. But it's in a very eye-rolly way. You're not meant to sort of feel as if he's like, ooh, we should all aspire to be like this till the very end. I really like that. There's times where I'm like, oh boy, his buddies feel the same way. They're just kind of like, what a jag-off. That was just like super refreshing from iterations of other superhero movies. Honestly, going back until Spider-Man, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man was the thing that this reminded me most of. Very vibrant, very flashy, but had an understanding of the characters and the city, and all of the characters had a lot of charisma. Jimmy Olsen had so much charisma. Lois Lane had so much charisma in the way that J. Jonah Jameson, Aunt May, they all had such charisma, and this was such a fun film to be in all the time. And even the world building, which we're talking about now, the world building was great. I feel like James Gunn was treating Superman how he would be treated in our world, which was to call him naive, to everybody just eye-rolling at the fact that he had to save everyone's life. Even the fellow superheroes were like, oh, he's such a Boy Scout. And there's not an element where you are like, oh, but Superman, you kind of also feel like that for Superman. He kind of is naive to the point where it's interesting. And I really liked how he was, triggered by the internet, triggered by Lex Luthor, They were making fun of Superman in a very like lighthearted way, and that Superman isn't the most important person. There's at one point he's sitting in his apartment and there's a huge galactic fight happening outside and he's not even bothered, and it's not even part of the movie. All of these big fights are so sort of low stakes because it's as if this gigantic being was really just kind of like a petty crime thug person in a comic book. They're handling it. I'm in my feelings and I have to sort of come to terms with that. And I wrote all this afterwards. I wrote, in past iterations of comic book movies, most of these sites will be seen as very symbolic, very dramatic, end of the world type seriousness. And then in this movie, everyone understands that the heroes have been here for a while and that things will be taken care of, so just get out of the way. I love that this Superman has a human identity, which is different than being about truth and justice in the American way. He has a cultural identity, which is punk rock. And it's very funny that Superman sees his earnestness as punk rock, but I'm happy that he has any kind of cultural identity that isn't just American exceptionalism. That part always gets glossed over in all of these superhero movies, is that like, did these guys grow up listening to music? Did they ever drink beer? Did they ever watch movies? Did they ever go to the theater? Did they ever smoke cigarettes? Like, did they do any of these things that all of us we did as young people? Were they motivated by My Chemical Romance or I don't know, some sort of shoegaze? I thought that was fun. I mean, it's funny to hear him be like, I'm punk rock. But I was at least appreciative that he had a cultural identity. And if you know about James Gunn, you know that that is a very important thing to his characters and his movies, is the cultural identity of it. One of my favorite parts about this film is Lois, and in that she is not head over heels for him. It's not a will they, won't they. It's not some sort of everlasting look at each other in the eyes type of love. It is one that she's challenging. She's challenging Superman intellectually, and you could tell he's not up for it mentally, that she is way smarter than him. Lex Luthor is way smarter than him. There's a lot of characters in this film that are way smarter than Superman, and Lois tries to dig into how that can be exploited by challenging him. I feel like seeing this Lois be tough was really fun to watch, and you could tell she was just body blow, body blow, body blow, and he wasn't really able to hold up to it. So this guy is just always on the back foot, and how interesting it is because we always see him as like the great total answer in comic books, and in here he's intellectually behind, he's emotionally behind, he's romantically behind, he's physically behind. Another thing that James Gunn does really well is introducing very colorful, charismatic characters with an opinion, with a point of view, with an iconic look, that also themselves feel like they're the main characters of their story. Guy Gardner, Mr. Terrific, Hawkgirl, another character towards the end. Oh, Supergirl. They don't see Superman as above them at all, and that's what really makes them great. They're not in service of Superman. They are, if not peers, superiors. You know, like they have plans, they've got a name, and in that name there's a lot of character introduced, there's a lot of division that's kind of introduced in that little thing. That's really great because all this stuff has to happen quickly, and when you can introduce clashes like that, we understand who's who in this world as fast as things are going, and things go so fast in this movie. And for me, who sometimes has a hard time keeping up, I understood what was going on. Boom, 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 boom. I think the most impressive thing was how dangerous the villains felt to Superman. The villains felt dangerous to Superman. I was very impressed. I understood everyone's motivations and why. I really liked how self-aware the bad guys were, who were obviously very evil, and how Lex Luthor was several steps ahead. But he underestimated how much this level of pain would cause his plan to unravel. Seeing a person killed in front of Superman, and then the promise to have somebody else brought to do the same thing, that changed the character. The Spikes lady, the crazy Spikes lady, she was great. Like all of these movies, it's always like, is the villain bigger, stronger, faster than Superman? And James Gunn was like, fuck that. Can we cut off his air supply for 2 minutes? Because that's all it would take. But in that moment, I was like, whoa, this is the closest anybody's come that I've seen to and believe that could kill this guy. And I was very impressed by how emotionally invested I was in that moment. And how much I was rooting for Superman because the clock was ticking. The clock was ticking. There's a very obvious Israel-Palestine comp that is going on there. But even that, you're expecting Superman to come save the day, and he doesn't. That's really one of the things I like about superhero movies is that they reflect the creator's ethos. I wrote this. One of the things I love about superhero movies is largely they reflect the priorities of the creator. In Zack Snyder's case, it was men in the relationship to gods and worshiping them. In the case of Marvel, it is a structured studio hierarchy intended to make money. And in James Gunn's Superman, it's about how having good friendships, good relationships, can carry you through a bad PR nightmare bullshit. I really liked how James Gunn made it clear that Superman's strength and his speed and his laser eyes weren't going to save the day. He needed to have friends. He needed to have intel. He needed to have brains. When he didn't have those things, he needed to rely on people who did to come to his aid because he is a good person. And that was the message I took away. Be a good person. Be a good person. Treat people right. And good things will come back to you. And so that's my review. I gave it 4.5 stars on Letterboxd. If you haven't seen it, I'm sorry I spoiled most of it, but that's on you. I put a spoiler in it. Go watch it again because I had a good time with it. I think I'm going to watch it again with my wife. I doubt she's going to like it, but this is the kind of thing I want to learn about. Does she like movies like this, or is it a little too wacky? Anyways, one more personal note. I think this might be the last day of my long hair. I don't know if you could tell. Let me get a little closer. So see this? I'm going to shave my head. I'd like to do it every summer, and this is just getting untenable, and I hate it. I'm trying to do more of these. I'll see you next week where I will talk about something. Oh, right. I'm going to talk about Love Island. So next week, I'm going to do a whole big Love Island deep dive. Again, I'm just trying to talk about the things I like right now and I care about right now. Bye-bye.